BS with AJ, ladies and gentlemen, right here on the Talk America Radio Network. I had a question for myself today. I asked myself the question, is our political realm, all of the events and the political landscape that we're dealing with like these days, is it anything like Game of Thrones? And I thought, well, we have all of the Mueller, Weissman, and Deputy Attorney General who appointed them stuff going on, where there are other attorneys criticizing Mueller and Weissman and all this, and all of these connections and things that we, at minimum, I think, should call conflict of interest. Then we have the Florida congressperson versus Trump, Frederica, that's what it is, Frederica Wilson. Then we have all of the Harvey Weinstein stuff, the predator, the awful, awful human that he was, and all of the money that he gave to the Clinton Foundation, not the foundation, but the campaign, all of his contributions to the liberal side, as far as his movies, his speaking, his entrepreneurship, all of the above, his efforts. He was a good liberal. And I think that all of these things, plus all of the other intrigue of our foreign policy, the UN, all of these things that are going on, the anti-Trump movement, Trump derangement syndrome, the Democrat Party, the liberals, the progressives in this country, we really are living in a time where our political landscape is just like Game of Thrones. It's just that this is the answer I came up for this question to myself. It's just like the Game of Thrones, but we just don't get to see the sex scenes and the plotting and the battles the way that we do in the Game of Thrones. I hope you chuckled. I'm chuckling on the inside. Did you hear the story? I have to talk about this. This is, to me, quintessential liberalism, progressivism on display. The litigation required, the money spent, the time in courtrooms spent on the subject of the undocumented teen and the abortion. The government says no. They don't want to facilitate an abortion. And of course the folks suing on her behalf, all those empathetic, deeply connected, emotionally sure, progressive, elite, smarter than the rest of us people are fighting for her right to get an abortion. It's an unwanted pregnancy. How can we force her to continue an unwanted pregnancy? Oh, the horror, right? The horror. Well, apparently there was a ruling that is being characterized as in favor of the government and stopping this Jane Doe, undocumented teen, I believe she's 15, from getting that abortion. The reason it's characterized that way is because I guess these judges agreed that the only way she can get one is if they release her into some kind of caregiver's custody, or can't remember the term they used for it. It's not a foster care situation. It's some kind of custodian or custodialship. Custodianship, I guess is the right word. But either way, they haven't been able to find one for weeks for her. And so the idea is that she won't have one in time to beat the rule in Texas where they say after 20 weeks of pregnancy you can't get an abortion. So the complaint here is that there's not going to be anyone to release her into custody of in Texas in time for her to get an abortion. So the Trump administration is blocking her right, her constitutional right as a woman to her abortion. This is a typical leftist argument. It's something that they typically pursue in court. And they find liberal judges and activist judges to rule on or in their favor, on their behalf. And then we go through this appeal and overturn and uphold and blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, none of this seems to be... Well, the conversation isn't about the baby. The conversation isn't about the potential human life that would be snuffed out. The conversation isn't about how an undocumented teen doesn't have constitutional protection. That's correct. An undocumented teen, someone who is not a citizen of the United States, is not subject to its rights and protections, cannot claim them. This just seems basic, but I guess that's part of the failings of the public school system. that has been so deeply infiltrated by the left and the liberals and the Democrats. The school systems that spawn and produce the liberal activist judges and lawyers and community organizers and social justice warrior types. It's very successful what they've done there. They have a mill of soldiers. They're turning out. I've said before, I wonder if there's too many people, too many kids in our population who after the age of 15 or 14 never have an original thought again because they have been taught, indoctrinated with this leftist hate yourself, hate America, hate freedom, loathe the modern world that you live in on a daily basis, exist in a constant feeling of panic, and bully and abuse those who don't agree with you. That seems to be the modern norm for too many of the young people that are being turned out of our high schools and higher education places, whether it's a university, a college, a community college especially. At least in my humble opinion. It's just el wrong-o. An undocumented citizen does not have constitutional protections and rights granted to them. Only citizens have that protection. Another story that just has to be commented on. It's been blasted at us now for several days this week. The story of Representative Frederica Wilson, the hat wearer, the performer, the charlatan, the actor, the performer. She's, there's video surface now. I don't know if you saw it. I saw it retweeted by Mr. Posobiec, Jack, and I watched the video, and she's on the floor of the House saluting slain FBI agents, fallen FBI agents during a shootout. And she says, quote, "They left their homes that day for work, knowing that there is a possibility that they may not return home." She went on to say something to the effect that she didn't know if that was on their minds, or on the minds of those agents that day. And then on and on throughout the hyperbolic and rhetoric-filled speech that she gave on the floor of the House. But she herself has uttered these words that she so vehemently criticized. Just made such a spectacle of herself, went out so loudly to condemn, and then laughs at what a rock star she's become. I really hope the folks that populate her district there in Florida, I just hope that they have a reaction to this event that will mean that she won't be back in office for another term. That's what I hope, because I think that there's a real kind of slimy, sticky, gooey feeling left after listening to her speak on this subject and to watching her body language and the way that she's behaved and the way that she adorns herself in her office. I think it's just really off-putting. And I hope the folks in that district in Florida will start to kind of maybe see some of that. This emperor does have clothes, Miss Frederica Wilson, and they speak a lot about her, in my humble opinion. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more BS with AJ. Stay tuned. It's the Talk America Radio Network.
Are you tired of paying high prices for TV channels you don't watch? Of course you are. You want to watch and pay for the channels you like. Now you can take back control of your TV with Dish's Flex Pack. Get over 50 of America's favorite channels for just $39.99 per month, and then add the channel packs that you want. And your TV price won't go up for 2 years, guaranteed. Plus, when you call today, you'll get free standard installation in up to 6 rooms and a free HD DVR upgrade. Need more channels? Dish offers loaded channel lineups from $54.99 per month, featuring over 190 channels, and HBO is included for a full year. And for a limited time, GoDish will give you a $100 prepaid Visa card when you sign up and mention offer code GIFT100. Call now, 800-795-5573, 800-795-5573, 800-795-5573.
Packages, prices, and promotions subject to change. Gift card courtesy of GoDish.com. Call for details.
The following message is brought to you by Health Markets, your first choice when you need health insurance for your small business. Do you offer health insurance to your employees? Call us now and see if you can save money. Do you want to offer vision and dental to your employees? Call us. Do you think you're paying too much for your current health insurance? Call us. Do you want somebody else to do all the legwork and search thousands of health plans from over 180 health insurance companies nationwide? Call us. We're Health Markets, and thanks to a little-known solution, we could help your business save thousands of dollars on health insurance costs and save your employees money too. Our service is free. Don't miss the great savings. Call now.
800-472-5145. 800-472-5145. 800-472-5145. That's 800-472-5145.
Health Markets Insurance Agency is DBA of InSphere Insurance Solutions, Inc., licensed in all states. Product availability varies.
Welcome back to BS with AJ. That is me. This whole thing with Frederica Wilson. Yeah, a couple more comments about this. The double standard. I said that I mentioned last segment. There's video of her on the House floor in the past giving a speech about some fallen FBI agents that fell in the line of duty in a shootout, and she says the same thing that she's complaining and demonizing Trump for. Basically, she's quoted on this floor speech. You can find it on the internet. I found it on Twitter. These FBI agents leave their homes for work knowing that there's a possibility they may not return home, and that she didn't know if this was on their minds that day. And she goes on. Same stuff. The same idea, the same expression as Trump. And yet she found in it some kind of leverage, or what she perceived to be leverage, something to criticize him for. And it proves this double standard, that if you're liberal Democrat, you can get away with anything. You can say anything. You're never going to be held accountable. But it's also that hypocrisy. It just shows how disingenuous Democrats, at least this one and all that I can see, are. They're just not sincere. They'll say whatever it is they think they need to say, when they need to say it, to whom they need to say it. And they'll forget it as soon as they turn around and make eye contact with another person. I think of this congressperson, Frederica, as an actor. She's a performer. That's why she dresses the way that she does. She simply chose politics instead of Hollywood. There's so much of the two connected. And it's another one of those things that I think that the louder she gets and the more voices join hers, the more attention her kinds of comments and her opinion of Trump gets, more coverage, the more time CNN spends with her, the more campaigning she's doing for Trump and for Republicans in 2018 and 2020. I think everything... we've heard it before. I've said it before. Let them do as they do. It's nothing more than motivation for people to get out and make sure that people like them don't represent America anymore. You can't win them all. There's still going to be California and New York and states like that. But my goodness, there are reasonable people out there. They used to be in the Democrat Party. I'm not sure if I don't know where to look. Maybe it's Joe Manchin. Maybe it's some of those Democrats that do at least hint at times that they might find some kind of issue they could be bipartisan on, even though they never do. They'll say it. That's why I hope we'll replace Heidi Heitkamp up here this 2018 with a Republican. It would make sense since the state House and Senate are overwhelmingly Republican. If I remember correctly, this last election, there aren't enough Democrats to fill seats on the committees in the House, and so they had to figure out some way to handle that because Democrats simply weren't represented. They were not elected. And it's a Democrat. I mean, a lot of farmers are Democrats because they like the subsidies, and they may get upset with me for saying something like that, but I believe it's true. Frederica Wilson, the epitome of the hypocrisy, the double standard, and the example of the politician as an actor, as a fake, as a fraud. Someone who simply seeks election for fame and fortune and attention and power. There's no real desire to do for anyone but themselves. And they'll seize this kind of national spotlight, especially in this day and age with a president like Trump, and then laugh about becoming a rock star. It proves that hollowness, that shallowness. And that's why I hope those voters in that district and all over this country will look at who's representing them. Who are they? How do they behave? What's their body language? What's their voting record? What's their life outside of politics life? It's hard for us to do that. It's a lot of hard work, which I've argued before. The Constitution, the Bill of Rights, is supposed to ensure that we don't have to spend too much time doing, because the idea was that our representatives go to protect and to serve the Constitution. But that is not the case these days. We have to be more vigilant. And we are. We have been. That's why Trump is president. Real quick, I saw, while I was Twitterizing, if that's a phrase, I just made it up. If you're familiar with thehill.com, you'll know that they're a liberal rag on the internet. But they published a story. The headline reads, EPA removes more references to climate change from its website. This is a very short story. I can't even imagine. What is this, 150 words? Maybe 200 words. I don't know. And I can't remember. I didn't write down the quote-unquote journalist's name. But this is a joke. I can read this whole story because it's so short. But this is another example of some of that liberal drivel, that leftist BS. The propaganda, the fake news. This is an example. Here it is. This is the headline once again. EPA removes more references to climate change from its website. The Environmental Protection Agency has scrubbed more references to climate change from its website. A watchdog group on Friday highlighted changes to the EPA's page dedicated to energy and environment information for state and local governments. The group noted that a previous version of the page included information about climate change. The previous version of the page, which has been preserved, included at least 19 references to climate change. The new page contains none. The EPA said Friday that, quote, previous administration's web pages are still available by clicking the large link plainly visible on the banner at the top of EPA.gov. Unquote. That's hilarious. They're still available, all those old pages. But the headline here is that the EPA scrubbed them. They removed more. They've been scrubbed from the website, even though they're still there. The EPA in April said it had begun the process of updating its website to, quote, reflect the views of the leadership of the agency, unquote. At the time, the agency deleted content on its pages related to climate change, climate science, the impacts of climate change, and climate information for children, among other things. That's so funny. They had to include that they removed a section that dealt with the impacts of climate change and climate information for children. What a bunch of BS. The story finishes here in a couple of sentences. 3. The Obama administration's EPA website has been preserved, and an archive of its data is still available online. So it's still available. It's not been scrubbed. Other government websites have also reduced their climate change focus, including the National Institutes of Health. Well, it's good that you informed us in this article about the EPA. EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt has raised doubts about climate change science and indicated he will soon launch an effort to critique it. End of the story. That is modern journalism, ladies and gentlemen. That is what 6 figures of college instruction on how to be a good little journalist these days in the United States gets you. What is that? 200 words, 150 words that says nothing. That says they archived and you can still see something and now there's a new thing because there's a new EPA. That's the story. Oh, but they also included that it removed information for children. That information is still available via a large link in the banner at the top of the website. Silliness, silliness, silliness. Fake news. Fake news. Hill.com. Fake news. We'll be back with more. Stay tuned. It's BS with AJ. It's the Talk America Radio Network.
Let's dance.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Their expert staff can help you turn your book idea into a real book, a masterpiece that could someday make the bestseller list in hard copy and digitally all across the world. Page Publishing can help you completely take your idea for a book, write it, and publish it. So if you want to join the ranks of some of the most famous authors in the world, call now for a free information kit. Turn your book idea into publishing gold. Make a free call right now to Page Publishing.
800-378-2714. 800-378-2714. 800-378-2714. That's 800-378-2714.
Do you use the expensive blue or yellow pills to charge your sex life? Are you thinking about it? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pills deliver the exact same results for less than $3. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. And right now, radio callers will get 44 blue or yellow pills for $120 with free discreet shipping. You can save more than $700 off pharmacy prices. Charge your sex life now and save a ton of money. Call now and get your 44 pills and save over $700 and qualify for free shipping. Stop overpaying and call right now.
800-296-1289. 800-296-1289. 800-296-1289. That's 800-296-1289.
Welcome back to BS with AJ. I'm AJ. Did you hear the story, ladies and gentlemen, of the transgender, mentally ill male who decided to identify as a woman and then proceeded to rape a 10-year-old girl in a woman's bathroom? I believe it's the UK Daily Mail reporting this. On trial, or charged and arrested. I don't think that there's any doubt what happened here. I think there's a photo of it crying. Faces up to 70 years in jail. I hope he, the evil, demented, mentally ill, he gets every one of those years with no possibility of parole. I would support stiffer punishment. The damage that he did to another little human being. This whole nonsense about gender, this whole nonsense is just so disgusting. Oh, no, AJ, how can you say that? These are just people. They just want to be who they are. They just have these feelings. Sometimes those feelings are wrong. And it's our challenge as a human being to overcome them. and to leave them behind as if they never were, and to be healthy. And that's what those people who decide that they're not the gender they are, that biology has assigned them, that nature has assigned them, when they decide that isn't the case, they're admitting to the world, they're behaving outwardly, they're acting out what's inside of them, which is insurmountable, it seems, confusion, lack of security, insecurity, a huge amount of insecurity, lack of self-confidence, self-esteem. Oh, here, AJ, those are liberal terms. Those are liberal ideas, self-esteem and how we feel. Right. This is the result of indulging all of those selves, all of those ego-driven emotions that exist inside of us. This is something that we were told wouldn't happen. This is something that we were told that we're bigoted if we suggest, if we were to express the concern that maybe something like this would happen, we're a bigot, and maybe, a misogynist too, right? I tell you what, when nature matters when it's climate change, as we learned from thehill.com, it's all about climate, nature, Mother Nature, the planet. But when the planet assigns you a gender, when biology tells you you're a male by putting it on you and making you that physically through your chromosomes and your genes and stuff, I know, crazy ideas, but that's what it is. Nature has assigned us an experience here through this physical vessel called the human body. I started out this show a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, talking about the fundamental things that make up a human being. And what I covered as the gross, the net negative is our emotional experience, the emotions inside of us, our feelings. AJ, that sounds horrible. That sounds so negative. I understand that. But when we look at the sad, emotionally charged events in our lives, they're events that are usually the result of supercharged emotions. When we hear about, as happened to my family, and I didn't speak about it, but when I hear about something like what happened to my family earlier this year with a murder-suicide, leaving a 3-month-old baby orphaned, that is one of those crimes that takes place because of emotional and mental breakdowns. And so the fact is, I guess the perspective I come from it is, or come at it, is we're going to get hurt. Things are going to be uneasy and uncomfortable and scary, chaotic, insecure, unstable. All of those things will happen at different levels. It's that roller coaster ride. It's almost like a wave of light. Our ability to overcome them and react to them and live through them is the biggest challenge that we have. And the failings of that challenge are what we call crime and injustice and bullying. And so those happen at different levels of intensity as well to us in our communities and in our groups. People who are going through emotional things and the effects of those emotional things on the people around them. And we've been the people causing them, and we've been the victims of other people as they've acted out what's wrong or what's challenging or what they're not overcoming in their own lives. And so to bring this back around to this whole transgender issue, it's another example of how confused and misled a human personality and a soul and a thinking being can be led astray, how they can be manipulated and guided down the wrong path. It becomes a path of self-destruction. They're given the tools by the bad actors in our communities and in our societies. We find them amongst us ourselves everywhere. And those tools become tools of self-destruction. These ideas of empowerment and identity. It's very difficult to understand how to define them. I can only give my own perspective, my own view of what identity and self mean, I think that the left and our youth, I think it's a natural human trait to want to be able to define ourselves as quickly and as early as possible. We want, at the ages, in our early teens, we want to be confident and established and secure and strong and assertive and smart. We begin that struggle, and that discovery of self happens at the same time in our youth. But liberalism and progressivism and the Democrat Party has become one that teaches our youth and our young people and our younger generations not that their lives are cumulatively a definition of who they are, but who they are today and what they see around them today is the definition of who they should be. And that's a very important distinction. And I hope that I've said it plainly enough so that it can be understood. But these days, I believe, African American students are taught to be a certain type of activist and member of a community or the population or a demographic. And it's the same for every other difference. It's the identity politics that we talk about all the time. It's taught in a way that divides. It guarantees a division. Because instead of kids thinking of themselves as Americans, given the opportunity to live a free and prosperous life that they direct and where they're guaranteed life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, they're taught to be a vengeful, angry subsect of a population that has been wronged in the past and needs to find some way to get revenge and reparation today. And so instead of there being this installation of motivation and incentive and opportunity and vision and ambition in our youth, they're taught to focus on perceived transgressions from years gone by, so that the future is stolen from them, and themselves are stolen from them because that future is stolen, because we are the result of our experiences and the life that we live, not who we decide we think we want to be when we're 21 or when we're 25 or when we're 16. And the gaining of that knowledge or learning that and getting that far down the path in our lives, there's just no substitute for it. And so when we're 21 and we're 25 and we're 16, we believe we've got it all figured out and we're strong individuals and we're acting out all of the things that we'd like to be, even though we still don't know who we are. And so when our liberal, progressive left, social justice warriors have become so good at manipulating our insecure, low self-esteem, badgered, guilt-ridden, self-loathing, well-indoctrinated public school subjects, and tell them that they're not even the gender that biology and nature has assigned them, we see the culmination of the destruction of the human being and the result of liberalism, progressivism, leftism in the microcosm. It destroys lives by fooling people and tricking them into thinking that they are something completely the opposite than what they are. Either it's a man believing they're a woman, or it's a white person believing they're a racist, or a person who values life and doesn't believe that we should kill babies into feeling guilt and that they're some kind of bigot. It's insanity, it's derangement, and it's delusion. And it has been given all of the power it can handle through the television set and the laptop, computer, smartphone screen. But we are awakening to it, and the proof is Trump in the White House and the losses for the Democrat Party over the last 7 years. And what I believe is coming in 2018, which will be replacements for the incumbent Republicans, the rhinos, the establishment types, with true conservatives, because Democrats are in a shambles and have nothing to run on. And our economy is humming right along, and we will see, we have steered away from that cliff. We have started to bear away, as you've heard me say on the show. We have yanked the wheel to the right, and we're starting to veer away from the edge of that cliff. Our speed may not have dropped enough, but we're doing the right things. And 2018 and 2020 are the next opportunities for us to continue to do the right things all across this country. And that's by rejecting charlatan performer actors like Frederica Wilson and finding the true conservatives who want to serve the Constitution and represent us in this representative republic, and will reject this nonsense, all of the nonsense about our quote-unquote democracy. We'll be back with more after this. It's BS with AJ, the Talk America Radio Network.
Man, I had a rough night's sleep. Boy, I got a letter from the IRS yesterday, and I just couldn't sleep. Man, I'm dying here. Somebody help me.
IRS problems affect more than just your finances. If you're ready to take back control of your life and you owe more than $10,000, you need to call the tax doctor. Their expert staff can immediately protect you from the IRS and state collectors and get you the best possible tax settlement guaranteed. The IRS has recently released new programs geared in helping struggling taxpayers, where you may qualify to settle your tax debt and wipe out up to 85% or more of what you currently owe. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call the tax doctor right now. See if you qualify to pay less. 800-215-1727. 800-215-1727. 800-215-1727. 800-215-1727.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Their expert staff can help you turn your book idea into a real book, a masterpiece that could someday make the bestseller list in hard copy and digitally all across the world. Page Publishing can help you completely take your idea for a book, write it, and publish it. So if you want to join the ranks of some of the most famous authors in the world, call now for a free information kit. Turn your book idea into publishing gold. Make a free call right now to Page Publishing.
800-378-2714. 800-378-2714. 800-378-2714. That's 800-378-2714.
Are you tired of paying high prices for TV channels you don't watch? Of course you are. You want to watch and pay for the channels you like. Now you can take back control of your TV with Dish's Flex Pack. Get over 50 of America's favorite channels for just $39.99 per month, and then add the channel packs that you want. And your TV price won't go up for 2 years, guaranteed. Plus, when you call today, you'll get free standard installation in up to 6 rooms and a free HD DVR upgrade. Need more channels? Dish offers loaded channel lineups from $54.99 per month, featuring over 190 channels, and HBO is included for a full year. And for a limited time, GoDish will give you a $100 prepaid Visa card when you sign up and mention offer code GIFT100. Call now, 800-795-5573, 800-795-5573, 800-795-5573.
Packages, prices, and promotions subject to change. Gift card courtesy of GoDish.com. Call for details.
Welcome back to BS with AJ, the Talk America Radio Network. This is AJ. Did you guys hear? There was a school district somewhere they removed To Kill a Mockingbird from their library system, their reading list, because it makes people feel uncomfortable. Which I heard it said that's the idea. Might have been James Woods. He's a blast to follow on Twitter. I hope if you're on Twitter, you'll follow him. And if you're avoiding Twitter, if you're one of those who's chosen not to conform, hats off to you. And don't feel bad. Don't feel pressured, at least from this direction, to get on Twitter. I like it. I like to see things. I was just scrolling through it before I came back on here. And Salon has an article about white male anger. And there's another article from Politico about taking the president's finger off the nuclear button. And there's just so much hysteria and panic and rage and fear. Hysteria is the word. Trump derangement syndrome, as Rush calls it. It's really interesting to me to see so many people so openly showing so much weakness and so much inability to cope and comprehend and deal. Gosh, AJ, that's harsh. What isn't harsh? Hurricane Harvey, harsh. A murder-suicide, harsh. An abortion, harsh. Fires in one country, harsh. What isn't harsh about living in this world? What isn't harsh about life and reality? We don't spend enough time helping our young people understand just how good they've got it in comparison to how harsh this world is and how protected from that we are. You know, air conditioning, basic things like housing, clothing. They like to think they have an understanding of that, but they don't. Most of us don't and won't have an understanding of what it's like to be cold and hungry and without anything. It just isn't anywhere near a common experience in this country. And because we have 320 million people, the number of people who experience it will be larger because of that fact. But we don't do a good enough job. I've mentioned it in previous shows, we live such a life of luxury. And it's those wake-up calls like the storms and unhinged, delusional evildoer in mass shooting or a mass killing. Did you know we have more people killed with knives in this country every year than if you combined every type of rifle? More. It's knives. Humans kill other humans in acts of rage, in emotional moments where feelings have seized control. Liberals understand that we can become victims of our emotions, and they try to manipulate us to become controlled by them. That's why it sounds silly, but that whole story of Anakin Skywalker becoming Darth Vader, I believe it's really enigmatic of what happens to so many young people in our society these days. They're taught to embrace all of their feelings. They experience something negative, and all of those feelings become and build to conflagrations of rage and burning hatreds that become acts of aggression and violence and evil. And it's just so unfortunate because it doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't. We have such an amazing experience in this country, such a luxurious life. So much so that people are deciding that they aren't their own gender. People can decide, you know what, no, I'm just going to kill the baby in my womb. People can decide a host of things to do on their own, to define them or to characterize them or show themselves to be unique and nonconformist and above average. And instead, we end up seeing so many choose to be standard and conformist and average. It's another liberal victory, another leftist victory. But I started out with the idea that we've taken a book away from kids because it might make them uncomfortable. To Kill a Mockingbird, a classic. Something that ought to teach a story about the role that racism played in this country's past, and also then illustrates how much of a role it doesn't play in our present. But those smarter than the rest of us, I'm sure all lettered up with PhDs and doctorates of this and that and the other, have decided that those uncomfortable feelings from discovering the truth and being taught the truth through allegory and metaphor and fiction, it's just too uncomfortable. There are trigger warnings issued now for students before they go to a class on Shakespeare or to a play being enacted, doing a Shakespeare play. They might be triggered because he was a racist. It's just gotten absolutely insane. But books are the key, and we know that. We've known that for a long time. Books about that have become very popular. Fahrenheit 451. And each week on this show, I do a book to shove in your skull. And I like that phrase because that's what I try to do. I shove books in my skull. I read every night before I fall asleep. It helps me fall asleep more quickly. Sometimes it takes me a really long time to finish a really short book. That's not the point. It's about reading. It's about shoving all of that experience outside of your own mind into your mind. That phrase, that quote that comes from, I saw it in a Game of Thrones book. It was in the most recent one, the Dance with Dragons. A person who reads will live 1,000 lives. One who does not will live only one. Recently on the show, for that segment, this segment, A Book to Shove in Your Skull, I did The Screw Tape Letters by C.S. Lewis. Phenomenal, short little, quick read on a flight or at the beach, or at night before you crash, about how an administration, a bureaucracy of demons and evildoers from hell work to turn human souls and cause them to be damned. And it's incredible, the parallel, what we can take from this book and what we can see happening in our own lives, what we can see has happened, does happen, the temptations, and the envies, the jealousy, the 7 deadly sins, the self-loathing, the guilt, all of those things I referred to earlier, those emotions that we have can be usually our enemies if we're not able to control them or overcome them, or at least not let them overcome us. But this week's book to shove in your skull, I'm kind of going out into left field a little bit. There's a series of books, many. I don't even know how I don't know how many to tell you, but a set of authors, a husband and wife team, Kathleen O'Neill Gear and W. Michael Gear. And I've really enjoyed them. They're a series of books set in the past in Native America, with different Native American tribes in their locales of existence. And a lot of times they're spurred, these stories, or they feature real-life, modern-day archaeological finds and discoveries. So it's a similar kind of approach to this kind of historical fiction that Clan of the Cave Bear, Jean Aul, takes with her Earth's Children series, where there's all of this archaeological evidence that's been discovered, and so she takes that and weaves it into characters and love stories and stories of hate and all of those kinds of things we love to read and see, intrigue, war, those kinds of things. This is another example of that, but it's with the American tribes, and there's several of the tribes covered. People of the Silence is an example. Most of these titles by this set of authors is based on the people of the lake, of the silence, of the wolf. There are many examples, and different regions, different tribes from throughout America in that part of our history, pre-discovery by the Europeans, and it's phenomenal. Or during that interaction with the Europeans. There's all kinds of different settings as far as that span of time when those tribes were ruling the lands here, whoever it was they kicked off before, the human nature of war. So that is the book to shove in your skull this week, and actually any of the series, I think. Once you read one, if you're a reader like myself, you'll probably want to do more. It's a great husband and wife team, Kathleen O'Neill Gear and W. Michael Gear. People of the Silence, in this case, in this week's book to shove in your skull. Quick topic for you. I'm a huge hockey fan. I love to talk about hockey. The season's a couple of weeks in, 2.5, almost 3 weeks in now. And teams are starting to settle in. A lot of lopsided games, some really big scores. My own Pens were on the bad side of a 10-1 game. 10 goals scored against my Pens, the back-to-back champions against Chicago, real early in the year. I think game 2 or 3. But I heard an interesting stat tonight. Pens have won several now. They're cooking right along. Good stuff from them. But they have two major players, two generational players on the team. Evgeny Malkin from Russia and Sidney Crosby from Canada. and they between them have 3 Stanley Cups and so much hardware, so many trophies, even for their countries. Sid, a couple gold medals, World Championship, all that kind of thing. But they play together on the same team. They're both the same position. Each of them play center, and they center a line. If you're not a hockey fan, it's called a line. They have a right winger and a left winger. And Sid is the number 1 center. He's also the captain of the team. And Gino is his nickname. Evgeny Malkin is the second line center. He's also an alternate captain. But when these guys, there's a stat here with this team that's gone back-to-back champions and have the chance this year to see if they can make it happen again. But there's a stat here that I heard that was extremely interesting to me. There have been 77 games where these two players have both scored at least 1 goal. And the record of their team, the Pittsburgh Penguins, when both of those players score a goal, is 71 wins, 4 losses, and 2 overtime losses. That is absolutely incredibly lopsided. When both of those two players score a goal in a game, 71, 4, and 2. That is why it is a phenomenal time to be a Pittsburgh Penguins fan. That is one of the reasons why we have these back-to-back championships. Many other players involved. It is the quintessential team sport. But those are 2 of the guys that are worth watching. Thanks for tuning in each week. Talk America Radio Network, the dominant force in conservative talk radio. I am AJ, this is BS, and please stay safe and tune in again next week. It premieres every Saturday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern. And we thank everyone for your support and giving our sponsors a call. And we love you. Stay tuned, and until next time, stay safe and bye, Earth.
Do you use the expensive blue or yellow pills to charge your sex life? Are you thinking about it? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pills deliver the exact same results for less than $3. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. And right now, radio callers will get 44 blue or yellow pills for $120 with free discreet shipping. You can save more than $700 off pharmacy prices. Charge your sex life now and save a ton of money. Call now and get your 44 pills and save over $700 and qualify for free shipping. Stop overpaying and call right now.
800-296-1289. 800-296-1289. 800-296-1289. That's 800-296-1289.